Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first official video of my new YouTube channel. These videos are made possible by a grant from the Minnesota State Arts Board, funding of which comes from an appropriation from Minnesota State taxpayers, so thank you if you're a Minnesota State taxpayer. And if you're not, thank you for watching. This has been a project I've been thinking about for a long time, and it's pretty cool to, see it move towards completion, or, at least a beginning. So the idea behind this channel, as I originally conceived it and as I proposed to the grant board, was to create a video library of basic techniques and tools and tips for the kind of geometric beadwork that I do. It's not a particularly common art form, and I get a lot of questions, a lot of people asking me, how do you do this? How did you get started with this? How did you start making weird crabs out of beads, basically. And it was a slow process, of course. My first experience with geometric beadwork was this book, Little Bead Boxes by Julia Prettle, which I tell everyone who asks because, that's where I came from. And pretty much most of what I'm going to teach now is in that book in one way or another. I still think it's valuable to do these videos because I know some people have trouble with the word graphs or the picture graphs, and the videos are just another avenue of access that can make things easier for some people. So I guess this video, the first thing I wanted to go over was the kind of tools that I use and that I think are vital or less vital but helpful when you start beading. As a heads up, there is a cat on my lap. You may see her. Her name is Ash. She's very jealous of my video time, so that's what's going on with that. Alright, first things first, this square thing here is a bead mat. And bead mats are a little special. They're not just like regular cloth, they're like this spongy material. So when you drop beads on it, they don't bounce all over the place. They just sort of land and stay more than they would with a regular cloth. So I really love my bead mat. I also have a version of that that's a clamshell. This guy. He's got the same material inside, but I can lock it so the aforementioned cats cannot disturb the workings therein, which is really helpful. Next thing is the beads themselves. I've got a couple little piles here of the stuff I'm going to be working with later. You can see I already started a triangle. The beads that I use are by a company called Miyuki, and the bead variety is called Delica, so Miyuki Delicas. They're a Japanese bead company, and these are different from regular seed beads, which have sort of rounded edges. In fact, let me grab a little bit so I can show you what I mean. Okay, so these are also Miyukis. But these are seed beads, regular seed beads. And you can sort of see that they have a more rounded profile these guys, the Delicas, are called cylinder beads. And it's not just that they're smaller, but they have like a more, I'm gonna zoom in here. Hang tight. Yes. Okay, now you see. They have a more square cut profile as opposed to the seed beads, which have those rounded edges. And the square cut, like cylinder shape is what gives peyote stitch, which is the kind of beadwork that I do. It's what gives peyote stitch its shape and what helps it stay nice and tight and sculptural, because the straight cut cylinder edges stack together and support each other like bricks or Legos. I played with Legos as a kid. I do enjoy. Okay, coming back out again. Okay. There are other brands of cylinder beads. The next most popular is going to be Toho Beads is the company, and Aiko is what they call their cylinder beads. Aikos are they're really high quality. Like, they're known for being the best quality. They have different finishes, different colors, so there's going to be a different look to an Aiko piece than to a Delica piece. The other thing about Aikos, though, is they're like 3 to 5 times as expensive as Delicas. And that doesn't matter so much when you're doing small scale works, but when you're doing as much beadwork as I am, oh, it adds up. Let me tell you, it adds up. And Delicas they're fine. They're very good. They're a high quality bead. And I adore Delicas. Many thousands of color options, color and finishes. When you buy them in smaller quantities, they'll come in, 5 to 7 grams, like this, from Fire Mountain, or from Stormcloud Trading, or from Northland Visions. Shout out to my local Minneapolis stores. Blueberry beads. Shout out to my Washington State hometown bead stores. Caravan beads. They're over in Maine, and they're the ones that I order from mostly because I buy in bulk, which means I buy huge amounts of beads, and I put them in jars like this that I, buy from Michael's in the bridal shower section. And, yeah. Okay, so those are the beads. Needles. I'm a little peculiar because I like a short needle. Most beaders prefer a long needle, it seems like. I find I have more control with a short needle and that they break less often. I have a very strong grip, a very tight pull. The brand I use, they're English needles. John James Sharps, size 11. Size 10s work as well. I should have mentioned one more thing about the Delica beads. The size. These are size 11. They come a little bit bigger. They come a little bit smaller. 11s are the most common and the most popular and have the most color options. But there are still hundreds of colors, available in the size down, which is a 15, or the size up, which is an 8. Okay, back to needles. The other really popular option for needles are Japanese, as opposed to the English ones I use, and they're called tulips. And tulips are super high quality. Like, it's hard to describe in an audio format. Like, you would have to use it, I think. But the difference is just palpable using a tulip. I personally do not use them often because I use a very tough thread and I break the eyes of the needles pretty often. If you're using a softer thread, tulips are going to be safer to use. And they do have larger eyes than the English needles, so they're easier to thread as well. Again, size 11 here. Size 10s, I believe, would work as well. Strong scissors. Strong, sharp scissors. Again, I am using, these are fiskars. Yeah, I'm using a really strong thread, so I need really gnarly scissors. If you're using a softer thread, any scissors probably are going to be fine. This is a recent addition to my tool collection. It's a thread zapper, and it makes heat here, so you can like basically zap the thread off right next to the beading. I love this thing. It's really cool, and I enjoy using it. Yeah. The thread. So the thread I use is called Fireline. It is a monofilament extruded thread, and actually, it was made as fishing line. I picked up the black one so you can see it against the background. The most common color is white, but just so you can see it. So this is basically fishing line. Very thin fishing line. It's really strong. It's really rigid. It's not going to stretch. It is abrasive. It will cut you. It'll cut your hands if you're not careful. Like a rope burn, except like a really fine rope burn. I use 4 or 6 pound. I find that works just fine. It goes up to like 8, 10, 12, 16. That's silly for the size of beadwork that I'm doing. 4 works just fine. This repackaged spool is the most common that you'll find. Like you can see, it has the Fire Mountain. That's the company that is reselling it. But again, because I do this so often, I buy in bulk. And I buy it straight from the source. Oh yeah, this is a huge old fishing line spool. Look at this thing. It's huge. I've had this for like, a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and I still haven't used it up. Yeah, this is awesome. So there are options. If you want to use a softer thread, there are quite a lot of options. There's Miyuki does a thread, Toho does a thread, Toho the Icos. Here's the Miyuki thread. This is a softer thread. If you're doing jewelry, it'll give it a nicer drape. So it'll be less rigid. It's more flexible. There's more give there, so it's not going to be quite as tight. 1G, this is Toho's thread. Basically the same. KO, another beading thread, basically the same. They all come in slightly different colors and sizes. It doesn't matter so much at this scale. If you were using like really small beads, that would matter, because you could only do so many passes of thread in the beads before they were stuffed full. But with size 11s, I find that isn't too much of a There's another common one out there called Ceylon, C-L-O-N. I find that Ceylon frays really easily. Like the ends get frayed a lot more easily than these guys do. So I prefer not to use it for that reason. Although you can also use a little lump of beeswax to help keep your, to keep your ends nice. You can just sort of rub your thread along the beeswax and that helps, if you don't mind doing that. Those are all the pretty necessary things. Other things that I keep to hand, I have this little bead triangle here. This was a freebie from Fire Mountain, but they're like, I don't know, less than $1 each. This is really good for scooping beads and putting them back and away. Scoop them up, pour it out. Yeah, I love this guy. Very helpful. I like to keep pliers on hand because sometimes my needle gets too tight to push, and I like to grab it from the other end and pull it out instead. I doubt that will be much of an issue in this our basics beginning class, but just so you're aware, this is another thing I like to keep on hand. And of course the patterns that I use. We'll talk about those later, because that's a whole situation. But yeah, that would be the other necessary thing that I have with me. And strong light, of course. Don't do this without strong light. A lot of people use magnifying glasses as well. You can get big circular ones that will clamp onto your desk and even have ring lights. I don't find that I need those yet. I'm quite nearsighted, but it's a really nifty tool. If anyone, feels like they need a little extra attention to detail, I suppose. Well, I think that is everything that Ash and I have for you today. Yeah, next we will pretty much just head straight into the shapes. We'll start with the triangle because that's the simplest, and we'll move from there. If you want to learn more about me or my work, you can go to my website, www.erinpeñaart.com. Or you could go to my Patreon at hummingbird_night. Both of those links are in my YouTube profile. Thank you so much. And I guess I will see you next time.